This conference is being recorded.
Hello and welcome to the free teleclass on Discipline, the 3 Pro Secrets that really work. This is Lorraine Purcell calling you from beautiful Hawaii in South Kona. I'm overlooking 10 miles of coast in the beautiful Kealakekua Bay where all the dolphins live. And I'm so happy that you joined me today. We're going to be covering this very juicy, very important topic. Now, I don't know very many parenting topics that are quite as loaded as discipline. There's the positive discipline. There's the tough love. There's the this, there's the that. And then, of course, there's the way that you were disciplined when you were growing up. So I'm going to talk to you today about the 3 pro secrets that really work. And what I mean by that is, as a professional and a family counselor, and having worked with children since 1995, children, parents, and educators, I know some things that work. And if you were to go to a counselor and pay for therapy sessions to get these tips, it would cost you upwards of $1,000 just to get and integrate these different steps that I'm going to reveal to you today. So this is an introduction teleclass, just to let you know, an introduction to the real class. It's actually going to happen next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'll give you the call-in information for that. Actually, at any time during the call, if you want to register, it's at www.lorrainepurcell.com, and go to the right navigation. It's the second button. It says teleclass sign up. And you can choose which form you want to do it in. I recommend the membership program, but I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. So, discipline, the 3 pro secrets that really work. Some of you know my story. For those of you who don't, just quickly, I'm going to give you a little snapshot about why I do this work that I do. And it all happened when my son was only 4 years old. And I was leaving my ex-husband. I was very frightened. I thought I was going to be on the street. I was really, really panicked. And you know how it is when you're panicked? I lost it with my kid, and I was yelling at him at the top of my lungs. I mean, he's only 4 years old, so I don't know what it could have been that he was doing that warranted yelling at the top of my lungs. But he'd actually left the room, and I was still yelling. That's how bad I was at that moment. And I noticed that he was around the corner. I was still yelling at him, but I noticed he was around the corner of the hall hiding. But every once in a while, his little head would peek around, like to say, "Mom, I love you, and I don't want to be away from you, but I'm going to protect myself and get behind the wall." And when I noticed that, it woke me up, and I stopped yelling. And I took a deep breath, and I went around the corner, and I leaned down by him, and I just said gently, I said, "Honey, how are you feeling right now?" And he said, "I feel afraid of you." And I asked him what he was afraid of, and he said, "I'm afraid of you because I don't know what you're going to do." And when he said that out of the mouth of a 4-year-old, he described exactly how I felt when I was growing up. Oh, I didn't know if my parents were going to be the good parents, or they were going to be the bad parents, or they were going to be mean, or they were going to hit me, or they were going to love me for a reason that I didn't understand. So I was very confused. And there was one other thing I was thinking of. Expecting more of him than was age appropriate. That was kind of the story of my life. I was the firstborn of 4 children, and so actually it wasn't until my mom was dying and I was taking care of her that she said that she actually got to know me for the first time. So I was really doing that to him. I was doing the same thing of expecting a lot more from him at 4 years old than was even appropriate. So what I realized was I was repeating what my mom had done to me and what my dad had done to me by default. And, it shocked me because I had become my mother. You know how you just say to yourself, I'm never going to do that my parents did to me. And sure enough, there you go, in a knee-jerk situation, absolutely mimicking your parents and the things you vowed you wouldn't do. So I, at that moment, made a vow to be the absolutely best parent that I could be, and that required me going to therapy. I spent years in therapy. unraveling everything, healing myself, reparenting myself so that I could actually go forth and do a good job raising my son. And when he was 16, we were in our dining room in Aptos, California together, and I said to him, we developed a very good relationship, and I said to him, you know, Mark, I really want to write a book someday to help parents figure this out because it's been such a mystery how we've done this. And he said, I'd like to help you write that book. And that was a really happy moment of my life, obviously, because of the struggle that we had. I completely raised him as a single mom. His dad shared him half-time. But in my house, you know, I was a single mom. And he actually wanted to help me help parents. And as a matter of fact, I was just speaking in Santa Cruz County, and he came to my workshop and talked to the parents for about an hour. It was amazing. He was answering all these parents' questions about, well, what should I do about my son? What's my son thinking about this? What did your mom do that was great? What did she do that wasn't so great? And I just let him have the show and say anything he wanted to. It was really fun while I played with my little granddaughter. So it was just, you know, talk about full circle. He's 29 now. He's married. He has 2 children. He's very happily married to a wonderful girl. And, boy, I have a great life. But I tell you that because I don't want you to be intimidated by me or that I'm this uppity parenting mentor. You know, listen, every mistake that could have been made has either been done to me, I've done it myself, or I've learned about it from my clients. So that's my story, and this is not about me. This is about you, and I just wanted to give you a brief background because I want you to feel like you can feel comfortable with me. So here we go to the 3 pro secrets that really work. And like I said, as a family counselor, if someone was to come to me and learn these, it would cost them upwards of $1,000 to learn these 3 tips I'm going to tell you today. And the 3 tips, I'm going to go in ascending order. That means I'm saving the best for last, so you're going to want to stay on the line, and I've got some really great things to tell you about along the way for your support, because I'm all about supporting you to do the right parent thing. So again, I really acknowledge you for making the time to listen to this 30-minute call. Here we go. The first step, actually, the first thing I want you to do is take a piece of paper and a pencil. I'm going to invite you to do that. And write down 3 things that are really bothering you about your child. 3 things that might apply to this category of why you signed up for this teleclass or why you're listening to this on my website about discipline. What are 3 things that are really irking you? And this is just an extra tip I'm going to give you. When you're feeling resentful, when you're feeling like a martyr, when you're feeling put out, when you're feeling angry, a lot of times it means you're doing for somebody what they can easily be doing for themselves or should be learning how to do for themselves. I like to call it that it's God tapping you on the shoulder. You know that still small voice that we are so able to ignore? Well, this is that still small voice. Actually, I think resentment and feeling put out is a gift, because without that, we would just keep doing and doing and doing and doing. And our children and others in our house, I won't mention who, others in our house would never learn how to do for themselves. So it's God talking to you saying, hey, you know, something's out of balance here. You're doing a little too much. You're doing more. You're doing something for Susie that she could be doing for herself. So let's take that example. Susie is complaining when she has to clear the table at night, okay? You're not asking her to pack up the entire house and move you to Idaho. You're only asking her to clear off the table, and she's giving you a boatload of grief. How do you feel about that? Well, I'd be pretty irked myself. So the first thing you're going to do is, with this list of 3 things, you're going to make a plan. You're going to say, okay, now when she does this, I don't really think that's appropriate. I think she needs to learn something different. So I'm going to make a plan here. I'm going to plan what I'm going to do when she responds this way. And, you know, the first thing you might try is you can just talk to her and go, you know, that's just really not cool that you're complaining about that. so I don't want you to do it anymore. And if that doesn't work, the next part of your plan might be, okay, then she doesn't get dessert. Or if that doesn't quite work, then it's, you know, you keep moving down the line of the things that she holds what I call near and dear. Sometimes you have to make it hurt to get a response. But the whole time you're giving her a choice. So this is the really important thing. So you're going to plan, okay, it might be cell phone, it might be taking it from her, it might be no texting or calls, but I don't want this attitude anymore in my house. All right, so after you've made this plan, you're going to then introduce it to her, because there's nothing worse than, and we've all had this done to us, and we've probably all done it to our children and to other people in our lives. I've got my hand way high in the air right now, where we just impose this whole plan on somebody. It's like, okay, I am now going to take control of your life, and this is what we're going to do. Well, it's nice if you can get a moment, a calm moment, and you can sit down and say, hey, Susie, let's have a little chat. And maybe you're doing something fun, you know, maybe going for a walk, but you're going to level with her and you're going to go, listen, this is not working for me that you're complaining over the little things that I have you do for around the house. It's just not appropriate, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try this, and I wanted to let you know so that you have fair warning that this is what's coming up. Now, before I do this, before I go into this, I want to say sometimes you can sit down and just talk with your child. You can just say, you know, this isn't working, and what do you think would be a good thing to do when you do give me an attitude or grief? You would be surprised what they come up with. You would be really surprised what they come up with. They don't say, oh, well, give me dessert when I complain. They're really on board. You know, actually our children want us to give us these boundaries, because without it, they're left with themselves. And what I mean by that is they want to do good. They want to do well. Pardon my English. They want to do well. Your child wants to do well. Sometimes they need you to set it up for them, so that you, what I call, save them from themselves. Left to their own devices with no supervision and no boundaries, they're probably going to act like wild animals, okay? And I'm sure you've experienced that. But if you give them some boundaries, they're so relieved. You know how they say a dog, when it's a puppy, loves to be crated? Because they like that small area. It makes them feel safe and secure. That's kind of what you're doing here. So if you actually sit down and ask your child, what do you think we should do about this? They might come up with some really doozy consequences. And then you've got the real cherry, which is you have actually gotten what I call buy-in from them. They're actually on board with you about what's going to happen next. But some kids, you have to actually go, you know, this is the plan and this is what we're going to do. So whichever works for you, you can always try the lesser, which would be the conversation, going, hey, what should we do? And then continue from there. Or you just go, this is what we're going to do. I'm all about treating people like they're intelligent as long as I can. And then we go into deeper levels. So, you know, try it out and just see what works. But say, you know, we're gonna start removing your dessert, your favorite television show, and we'll just go down the line of the things that I know that you hold near and dear until we knock this off, because I will not allow this attitude in my house anymore. So at least he knows. Now, the next time this happens, and I'm gonna actually save the next tip for the end, because here's what, okay, as you're listening to this plan, you feel resentful, you do the plan, and then you do the introduction, you might be feeling a knot in your stomach. I know that I felt a knot in my stomach whenever I had to talk to my son like this, and I hired parent mentors to help me through this. Because what we want more than anything in the world is to not lose the love of our children. We don't want to see their wrath. We don't want to feel that rejection. So I have, because I've talked to so many parents over the years, I have actually come up with a support program, the first of which is going to be next week, the full-blown call. And in 30 minutes, I'm not going to be able to do much more than tell you the 3 tips. But the step-by-step of it and answering all your questions, there's no way I can do that in 30 minutes. So I invite you to go to LorrainePurcell.com and click on teleclass sign up, and I have 3 options there. The first one is to buy the actual class for $60, and you will get a digital download of that class to add to your parenting library. Now, what's so great about this class is I'm going to give you an expanded 30 minutes of each of these, a total of 30 minutes of content where I go into step by step, can't mess up, guaranteed you're going to be able to follow these instructions, content about these 3 steps. And then the greatest thing, and I'm so excited about this, is that after that, you're going to get 30 minutes of what I call Parent Relief Lifeline Group Coaching. So the questions that are raising to your mind at this point, I would be able to answer those for you. But what about this? But what about that? But what about this? But what about that? Well, my son does this and my child does that. And I'm going to actually answer those questions for you live and in person. You're going to be with a group of committed parents who are like you. They're very committed. And do you know how powerful that is to mastermind with a group like that? Just being in a group like that. You're going to get growth. You're going to get courage. You're going to get strength. Plus, you know, I'm behind you and I've got your back. You also will get that digital download of the entire hour-long class. So that's one option. You can actually sign up for $60 for the single class. But what I recommend, and this is what I'm so excited about, is for only $47 a month, you're going to get the monthly class. It's what I call the Parent Relief Spa. And doesn't that feel good? That means that I am going to nurture you. This is the time when Lorraine, the parent mentor, gets to take care of you so you can take care of your family in a fresh, revived way. And I even invite you to get your kids taken care of with a meal or a movie and go into your room, put on your sweats, lay on your bed, put the phone on speaker, and let me minister to you. How good does that sound? I mean, oh, I want to nurture you so you can nurture your family. How often do you take time for you, and how often do you actually feed yourself so you can feed your family? Like get yourself the education and the support and the community to actually pull this parent thing off in a way that you're happy with. So that's what I'm offering to you. For $47 a month, it's a monthly program where you are guaranteed that you know you're going to get the support no matter what. I'm going to be feeding you no matter what. And it's always on a topic that's really hot. So it's something that you've been looking for answers for anyway. But for a limited time, I am going to also include something else that I'm also really, really stoked about. I've been wanting to do this for years, and finally this is my launch, the Inspiring Everyday Parent CD of the Month program. Now, this is a CD that's going to get delivered to your house every month. And this program is $27 a month, but I'm going to include it in your $47 a month program. So that means I'm giving you, what is that? 47 and 27 is $84. Is that right? I think that's right. Well, whatever it is, you're saving a lot of money. I got to take out a paper and pencil and figure that out. But anyway, you're going to get the CD of the month where I actually interview a parent that's pulling it off and knocking it down in some parenting challenge. And I'm going to grill them until I find out just how they do it, step by step, in their particular situation, so you can learn from them. And this CD is also a great addition to your parenting library. So I'm offering you all of that for just $47 a month. So I advise that you click on that button. I invite you to join the Parent Relief Spa where I'm going to take care of you every month. Okay, so You ready for tip number 3? Tip number 3 is the one that's probably going to make you press that button, and it is consistency. Whatever it is you say you're going to do to Susie, for our example, when she rolls her eyes about clearing the table or whatever it is that you ask her to do, you're going to have to do it. Now, what happens when you don't follow through and do what you say you're going to do for your kids? What happens to your credibility? It goes right down the toilet, right? So how much power do you really have? How much of an empowered parent are you really in that situation? I'd say pretty much zero. You just set this whole thing up. You planned. You know that this bugs you, and it's going to be better for your family and better for Susie if you teach her how to follow through with things without attitude, because soon she's going to have a boss, and she can't do that with a boss, because our whole thing is really getting our kids ready for life. So you have to do what you said you were going to do. And you're actually the one that's going to work harder in this thing. You probably know that already. But here's the deal. To have that support to be consistent, that's what the monthly membership program is going to do for you. You're going to have the support of me behind you with those live Q&As at the end where I am going to answer your questions. My hourly fee is no small pittance, okay? Anybody who's worked with me personally knows this. So you're getting like, oh my gosh, you're getting such a lot of value from this. Plus you'll be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear my answer to your question and be in that supportive community. So that consistency is the key. That consistency is what it all hinges on. It's like the foundation for your house. After you plan and after you introduce it, you must implement and follow through. So choose wisely the consequences that you give, because you're going to have to do it. Like if you actually ground your child, how pleasant is that going to be to live day and night with someone who's grumbling? And I recommend upping the ante if that happens. In other words, if they're continuing to act out in deeper and more severe ways, it's time to pull rank. All right? You know, it's your house. They are guests in your house. So I support you to have it run functionally so it supports you, because if something were to happen to you, what would your child do? So I really want you to be happy and healthy. I want you to be happy and healthy. I want you to be nurtured. You're the person that if you can't work and you can't bring in income, what's going to happen? I want you to be supported. So again, I invite you to join my monthly membership for only $47 a month. I mean, what is that? One week's worth of lunches out? Sure not much. And you're going to be guaranteed the support of what you have for your greatest job on earth. So let's review the 3 points again. The first one, in ascending order, number 3 is the most important and the most challenging to do. Parents come to me all the time thinking that they're doing the right thing, but this is the piece that's missing. First one is to plan. By looking at your list of things that's really bothering you, what is it? What is it that you want to change? You don't want to change the whole world right now. What is it that you want to change? So once you find out what you want to change, you're going to plan. You're going to make a plan. And again, to use my example, when Susie rolls her eyes when it's time for her to help out, well, you're probably done with that. So what are you going to do to support Susie to do the right thing? Really, that's what you're doing, is supporting Susie to be the person she wants to be. So then once you plan, you're going to introduce it to Susie. You're going to take some time in a calm moment, not right then, but you're going to take some time, just some you and her time. You're going to say, look, honey, this is just not working for me. I love you so much, but this is like really hurting me that you're doing this. And besides, I'm not doing you a good service as a parent by letting you act like this. It's not helping our family. So the next time that I ask you to do something, or it's something on your list of things to do, and you do it with an attitude, we're going to start withdrawing privileges. And you can ask her what those privileges might be, because she might be completely on board with you. Or you can tell her, first we're going to start with dessert, and then we're going to go to cell phone, and then we're going to go to texting, and then we're going to remove the computer, and blah, 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 all the way down the line until you get this thing under control, all right? Because it is your house. They are guests in your house. Your children are guests in your house. I'm not trying to sound chauvinistic or 19th century or 20th century with that, 50s. I'm not trying to sound like that. I am trying to support you. So number 3 then is whatever you decide, you must follow through on. My parents used to say that they were going to kill me. Well, they didn't. So that was why I was terrified, because I didn't know if they were going to really be mad or if they weren't going to be mad, and I didn't know if the punishment justified what I did, and I was really confused. So we don't want to do that to our kids, right? So let me help you. I invite you to be in my membership program, my monthly membership program. Other programs like this are usually twice this much money. So I invite you to join me, and you're going to get that bonus of the CD of the month delivered to your door. And this is such a great opportunity because guess what? You get to listen to another parent just like you who's pulling it off. Not just me flapping at you. It's going to be, hey, another person. It might be your neighbor down the street, or it's someone like your neighbor. How do they really do it? Oh, I'm going to dig until I find out, and I'm going to have them spell out step by step how they do this. So this is Lorraine, your parent mentor, telling you I love you. I support you in your greatest job on earth. Go to LorrainePurcell.com now and click on monthly membership for $47, and you get that $27 CD sent to you every single month. And I hope to see you next week on our call. Thank you. Best of luck to you in your greatest job on earth. Bye-bye.